my heart swells when I listen to the brilliance of this. It's just so beautiful. It's really so beautiful. Maybe I'm rhapsodizing. I don't know, but I just love it.
Well, it evidently made an impression from the get-go.
Oh yeah. I want to tell you now. Here's the coolest lick in the universe, and to spare it, I'll play it. That intro is just great.
Yeah.
That's a Harrison lick, a George Harrison lick. What a cool lick, you know?
Yeah.
And it's suggesting chorus. Again, Mixolydian. All right, this is Harrison again with his kind of sour taste, but you're going to hear it. You familiar with the song at all?
No.
All right. Want to tell you, feel hung up and I don't know why. Then he does. And you're near. Da, 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 da. So you get this, like, he's playing what's called a flat 9 chord.
Yeah.
Which, in this case, flat 9s are great for resolving to a minor chord. But when you put it in the context here, it just sounds like sour.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
And that's what Harrison was going for. I actually, in a strange way, I wouldn't be surprised if it was McCartney's idea, though. Because McCartney had this penchant for, like, when it came to his own songs, everything had to be just so according to the way he figured it out, right?
Oh, okay.
But when Lennon, and especially during this era when McCartney went through this creative explosion he was going through, when Lennon or Harrison came up with tunes, all of a sudden he was in an experimental mood and said, why don't we chuck this in there? Why don't we chuck this? And that kind of, after a while, pissed Lennon off. He was, he's always willing to work on, experiment on my songs.
That's right. That's right. But he wants everything down to the letter.
So let's hear that sour thing. Wait. This intro is beautiful. Oh, so, and this song has, remember I was talking about lines, right? This song has probably one of my favorite, and just about in any pop song ever, my favorite chord movement for a bridge or a chorus, a release. It's just so beautiful. There's like a line in it, and I just love the way he moves it. Let's go to that section. Yeah. There's so many things in this song that just turn me the hell on. All right, so we get the lick itself. And then we go. Come back, I'll explain what's going on there, but then we do an A back to our root chord and he does a suspension and leaves it there. And McCartney hits that piano part. I don't know why, but that little suspension there, the fact that they didn't resolve it, it's just great. It's true greatness. So let's look at this release. We have the key of A. we have the 2 minor chord, the B minor chord of the key of A.
Right. Yep.
Then what's called the 4 minor, which is actually a very common outside of the key chord that's used in progressions like. Right. So we go to B minor, D minor, A, and then B7. Then we repeat our progression, B minor, D minor, down to A. Now what's the line? We have Alright, so we get That's just that chord movement just takes me away. I mean, this is, actually doing all this analysis and stuff like that. I love the Beatles, but this is probably by far my favorite Beatles record. It's just so perfect.
Well, I'm gonna have to get it. I've got compilations that have some things from it, but not the whole thing.
Oh yeah, Dr. Robert, and it's just that these songs, like for 2 minutes and change, they give you so much. Yeah. They really do. It's like eating a perfect tiramisu or something. Got to Get You Into My Life contains probably one of the coolest guitar licks I ever heard, and it's surprising for the style of song it is. By the way, I wanted to bring up this kind of piano style where they're going like just following quarter notes, right? This they got out of Motown. This was a thing that Motown guys were doing. The Beatles carried through, and so did Brian Wilson. Were using this. If you listen closely to a lot of this period Brian Wilson stuff, you'll hear this kind of dun, dun, dun. It's just
a very strict cadence to
yes.
it. Yeah.
Okay. And McCartney kept that with him for a long, long time. I mean, he used it on the White Album. I mean that kind of just playing quarter notes on the piano.
Could be that he didn't know how to play anything more sophisticated.
If you listen to Martha My Dear, I'm sure he wrote that. And Martha My Dear is actually hard to play. It's hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I tried to figure that one out on piano.
Uh-huh.
All right, so Got to Get You Into My Life. This is Mixolydian. All right. Now, how we get this Beatles sound of going from the 1 chord to the flat 7 major Mixolydian chord I told you about, based on the T, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti flatted. Build a major chord on that, and you get that sound. But not only that, there's a way to keep the original G note in there through both chords. And sometimes you could do it in the bass, like Tomorrow Never Knows does it in the bass. Is not dying, not dying. But sometimes you could keep the pedal point up high, which is what is going on here. Was alone, I took a ride, I didn't know what I would find there. So we're keeping that note from the G chord, even though it goes down to the F. And that gives you that kind of, again, that harmonium, Indian, droney thing that they were evoking. So it's in the key of G. We got Mixolydian yet again. Was alone, took a ride, didn't know what I would find there. Another road where maybe I could see another kind of line there. And then we got, what was it? Yeah. Then I suddenly see you. Did I tell you I need you? Alright, so now what's going on there? This is interesting because when we do G Mixolydian, Mixolydian is the 5th step of the key of C. So to get G Mixolydian, we're using chords from the key of C.
Okay.
All right. Now, when we go to this B minor chord, we create one of those classic lines, like in Michelle. Right. But the B minor chord comes out of G Ionian, not G Mixolydian. In other words, that B minor chord, in a way, is a bit of a surprise, slightly, because we've created this modal setup that doesn't include the B minor chord.
Right.
All right. Now this is, remember I told you there are 3 minor chords in every key, and that the least likely choice to put that kind of line on would be the 3 chord.
Okay.
And it was a Lennon song. So this again, McCartney and Lennon informing each other. He does the same thing on the 3-chord rather than the other choices. And I'm sure McCartney picked up on this stuff. And I think McCartney knew he was superior to Lennon in terms of his understanding of the musical material in general.
Structure, yeah.
But I think he was always struck by Lennon's unusual creativity and his oddball approach, and I think he liked a lot of the things that Lennon came up with. I don't think he disrespected his songwriting.
Yeah.
I think he had I think he had a great deal of respect for it. He just became, McCartney became impossible after a while. But in any case, all right, so we have, the thing about it is, it's like because of this weird outside of key line that comes up, when we hit our C chord, it's kind of like an interesting color change. We're getting this from the verse. Wanna tell you, da, 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 da. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong song. But alone, I took a ride and I know there. Then I suddenly see you. Ooh, did I tell you I need you every single day? And he follows through now with another kind of line, which is basically scale step. But when that C comes in, it's a nice little color change for him.
It is.
It's subtle, but it's there, So then he says, in blues style, and the horn arrangements, right?
All right.
Now, I'm sure in this case, you asked me in the last one, did the Beatles write the horn arrangements? And I said, no, that was George Martin all the way. But understand what I mean when I say that is George Martin actually did the scoring of those horn parts. But by this era, I think McCartney wrote those horn lines. Like he sang them to George Martin and said, could you put horns here doing this melody? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he did, in a sense, write the horn lines.
He had a head for it.
Yeah.
And he could sing it.
Yeah. Got to get you into my life. Now it does this little pause. Alright. That's my favorite lick in the universe. And we have to hear it. Here it comes. That just satisfies my soul so much. Now, Tomorrow Never Knows, interesting piece of music. They were going for the 1-chord song. I don't think they ever actually accomplished it. This song is 2 chords. And remember I told you, actually they're right next door to each other, I told you the pedal point in Got to Get You Into My Life is a high G note between the 1 chord and the flat 7 major chord, right? So what's happening here is it's Mixolydian as well. It does the same exact thing as Got to Get You Into My Life, and I'll exaggerate that point by singing, was alone, I took a ride, I didn't know what I would find. Except he's keeping the high C of that. I was alone, I took a ride, I didn't know what I would find. Now what Lennon does in Tomorrow Never Knows, he goes between those 2 chords. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It is not dying, it is not dying. Except now, the pedal point before was a high octave C. Here now the pedal point's in the low octave. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It is not dying, it is not dying. So it's a C to a B flat chord. Again, the flat 7 chord. We have all these, they were doing, it was actually McCartney that was doing this, these tape loops, and putting together sonic constructions, based on the tenet. I forget who put this out, some classical composer, might have been Varese, said something to the effect of, music is organized sound. That's the definition.
Okay.
All right, if that's the case, then if you organize anything, so that gives the DJs credit for what they're doing. I personally don't credit them. I don't,
Yeah.
You play music, you don't play a computer.
Well, What is it? Even the Berklee School of Music has got what do they have? You can now major in turntable.
Yeah, no, that's accepted. I just think it's bullcrap, personally. Yeah. The furthest away you get from an instrument, the less you're a musician, as far as I'm concerned. But call me old school and conservative and old-fashioned. Hey, I like the Beatles. I must be old-fashioned.
Yeah,
you know, I just happen to have taste.
Gary Goldwater.
Right. So, but here's an interesting thing. Let's give this a listen. He's using McCartney brought in a bunch of tape loops for experimentation with the song. This song is the song that's based on. All right, Lennon again had been tripping his head off. Literally, at this point. McCartney not yet. But Harrison was also... Lennon was kind of searching for some sort of written material on the subject of LSD. It was rare by then. But he did manage to get a hold of Timothy Leary's first book about it, and used, actually, Turn Off Your Mind, Relax and Float Downstream, an exact rip from a line of Leary's book.
Oh, okay.
Leary's book is using the Tibetan Book of the Dead as the model for how to deal with acid tripping. So we have a combination of those influences in the lyrics, and turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It is not dying, it is not dying. Lay down all thoughts, surrender to the void. That's right out of the Tibetan book. It is shining, the shining void, that you may see the meaning of within. That's a little preachy, but it's okay. It is being. That love is all and love is everyone. It is knowing. But my favorite actually is, but listen to the color of your dreams. It is not living. It is not living. It's the Tibetan Book of the Dead, right? But it's Lennon's penchant for making a pun. Listen to the color of your dreams. Living color. It is not living. Living color. Alive and in living color. He did this incredibly well in the song Because. Every line in the song Because is a pun. Because the world is round, it turns me on. Because the wind is high, it blows my mind, like getting high. Because the sky is blue, it makes me sad. These are all puns, and they're all so beautifully done that it becomes poetry. It's not, even when you see the pun, it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
So here he's got the pun on living color. Or play the game Existence to the End of the Beginning. Great ending for the lyrics. The end of the beginning. So now, there's a middle section where I want you to hear. Yeah. I want you to listen for the guitar, the backwards guitar when it comes in. All right, amazing stuff here. You know what that is? This is a bit of trivia not many people know. That backwards guitar is actually the reverse guitar from the guitar solo in Taxman that was done by McCartney. They just reversed pieces of it and placed it in here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. There's so much going on with this song, like in terms of experimentation, and clearly enough. I mean, it's really obvious, what they're doing here.
Again,